My name is Lisa Cannon. We're here at the beautiful home of Peggy Thomas and today is March 2nd, 2017. We're here to just ask Peggy a little bit about her life, her memories, and what it's been like growing up and living on Chincoteague. Peggy, if you would start by just tell us where and when you were born.
Right here on Chincoteague.
Okay.
April 29th, 1933.
Okay. And your parents' names?
Arthur Churix and Geneva Churix.
What was your mother's maiden name?
Geneva Merritt.
Merritt Churix. And that's Churix, I-C-K?
I-X.
I-X. Your I-X. Okay. And how about your grandparents? Can you remember all four grandparents' names? That would be great.
It was William Churix and Bertha Churix and Grover Merritt and Elizabeth Merritt.
All right. And you were born in 1933. I especially wanted to ask you anything that you could remember hearing about Assateague. Of course, by 1933, most people had moved away or brought their houses over here by that time. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, we're sitting in one of them. Right. Tell us a little bit about this house or anything that you know about it.
The only thing I really know about it is it come over here in the 20s and on a monitor. And it was only 4 rooms, living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms. I moved in here I was married in 49, so I moved in here in 50. It caught fire at one time. Of course, I didn't have no children then. We kind of just refurbished it a little bit and put back what was burnt and all that stuff, you know. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that I can remember except my father telling me that he lived on Assateague till he was 9 or 10 years old. He was born over there and lived over there.
Any actually, before we move on about the house, did I hear you say it has the original siding on the outside?
Yes, it does. And
the original floors are under your current floors.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the layout of the houses, we're looking at it right here. This original part is still the same,
right?
Except for the stairs that you've cut in upstairs. So, did your father have any memories that he passed on to you about his childhood, or what they ate? Like, what did they do about mosquitoes?
Nothing. You killed them.
Yeah.
Slapped them.
Yeah.
No, he didn't have too much to say about Assateague. He really didn't. He just said he grew up over there till he was 9 or 10 years old. Hayes come over here. Of course, he come with it. And other than that, he never said much about Assateague. He really didn't. I will tell you this. His parents had about 7 or 8 acres on Assateague. But in the 50s, my grandmother was living here with us. And a knock come on the door one day, and I went to it, and it was United States Marshal. And he was serving papers on them. They were going to condemn it and take it. They offered them so much money, but they refused it because it was hardly nothing. You
were saying that this home that had been owned by the Churix family on Assateague, the home was moved over, but the property still belonged to the Churix.
It did.
Yes. And they declined an offer of a certain amount of money
from the government
for it. So then what happened one day?
Just the United States Marshal showed up here and served papers. They went to federal court, but they ended up with $2,200. And my Aunt Sue Fish, which was my grandmother's sister, she says she got enough out of that to buy a winter coat.
Do you know whether your family was the last to sell to the federal government or to settle?
No, I don't think so. But I don't know of nobody else except Pat Jones's grandfather. No, father. Dirksons. The Dirksons. They had land further up the beach, and they held out. But see, they wanted this end for the wildlife.
But What?
That's $2,200. What could you buy today for it? Nothing.
I had a memory that you had a relative who had died over on one of your grandparents or great-grandparents. Remind me of that story.
Great-grandmother.
What was her name?
Caroline Murrett.
And
she died with smallpox.
And what happened afterwards?
Well, her sons, 3 sons, Lee, Grover, and Jim, had to dig her grave and put her in and throw a quick lime on her to eat her up. And when they went back to the house, the neighbors had set it afire and burned it down because the disease was so contagious. People on Chincoteague at that time took them in and let them live with them.
That happened quite a bit, it seems, in the old days. Families would just take someone in.
Yeah. Well, they said Aunt Mag Jester took my grandfather in. Now, whether she did or not, I don't know. But they said they always thought, my grandfather said he always thought she was his half-sister, but he didn't know.
How old was this grandmother when she died?
I really don't know.
But not an old woman.
No.
Yes.
No, because all of her children were still home. The one that married to Gray, his last name was Gray, she lived up in Delaware. But they had oodles of money. Irene Gray. Oodles of money, had big farms. And she told my grandfather one time, she says, Grover, I'm going to look out for you when I die. She never left him a dime. That's his heart. Ah, Lord. But anyway, people over here took him in.
So your father came over here with this house when he was 9?
9 years old.
And did they live here?
Yes.
Right here where we are?
Here. They bought this property that the house is on from the Williamses. Now, what Williams, I don't know.
Do you know at that point if did the house have plumbing and electricity, or was it, because people didn't have it on Assateague, of course. So.
Yeah, well, not at first. Because my grandmother Murrett, that lived on Tar Lane, she didn't have any. She had kerosene lamps.
Peggy, where was that? Do you know where the grave is, where your ancestor was buried who had the smallpox?
It's on Assateague. After you pass the toll booth and you go to that first turn, she's buried off on the left. There's no marker, no nothing.
If you're talking about the same spot, I think you're talking about, there are a few headstones still there, or are you talking about a different location? You know where
it's different.
It's
on the left. As you go over, after you get off the bridge, there's a Jones Cemetery.
Yes, right.
But you go on up around that bend,
beyond there,
and that's where she's buried.
Okay, I hadn't heard that before. I knew there was a smallpox graveyard, but I didn't realize that's where it was.
That's where hers was. Now, anybody else died over there with it, I don't know.
They actually had a pest house, they called it, using the German word, where people were sort of quarantined in there. I've heard other people mention that. Yeah,
could have been.
Pretty rough. Did you go to the school, the main school on Church Street, or did you go to a different? You went to that one. Remember any teachers you had that you especially liked or didn't like?
Well, I had one I didn't like, Lola Phipps. Oh, she was a total.
Tell us a little bit about her, Miss Phipps.
Yeah, she was mean. Oh, well, I guess we were too. That's what they did.
How old were you when she was your teacher?
She was my teacher in 7th grade. So I was, what, 13? Something like 12, 13.
So she ran a tight ship, huh?
Yeah, tighter than that. Phew. She was, oh man, she was something. Now, I'll tell you who I did have out there I really liked was Miss Bertie Idlet. She was nice. Had Catherine Clark. She was nice too. I had some good ones. I had some bad ones.
What names of friends of yours, Peggy? Can you remember who were friends in those early?
Yeah. Ones I started school with was Pat Jones and Avis Beebe and Janice Jones. And, well, Janice was a Merritt after she got married, and Pat was a Jones, but Connie Wilton, Miss Blanche Wilton's daughter. And I went to school with Dickie Conklin. Not Dickie Conklin, my lord, Dickie Jones. And Floyd Junior Mason, Warren Watson. He was killed when we were real young.
Did you know Lillian Rue?
Yeah, I knew
Lillian
Lillian.
Maris
She
Rue?
was my teacher too.
Okay.
Sunday school teacher too.
So you saw her every day,
Yeah.
6 days a week.
Yep. 5 days a week.
Yeah. Well, was she have any memories of her? She's of course she remembered.
Yeah, I can remember one thing about her. In Union Baptist Church, you didn't get in her seat.
Oh.
Oh no, when she come right to you, she said, "You're sitting in my seat."
She's known as being quite the historian, of course.
Yep. Yep. But some stuff that she's wrote is not right to the minute. I mean, some of it's not. Because I've read her book on acetate, and it's not all.
Can you think of anything that she had that you would have corrected off the top of your head?
No, not right off the top of my head. Just as long as I read the book. I got it here somewhere. But.
Right. I just read that. I just reread that book.
Did you?
Acetate and Chincoteague, as I remember them. I think she called it.
Yeah. Well, that says she remembered it. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's not all right.
Right. Yeah.
She was a nice lady. She really was.
Well, she certainly devoted a lot of time to collecting stories and trying to get lots of facts down. So that's great. So
I'll never forget the time she had a class party, a Sunday school class party at her house. We'd never been there. And when she came out with dessert or whatever we were going to have, you just had cake and that kind of stuff then. She brought out cantaloupe with ice cream in it. I said, well, I ain't never seen nobody serve this. But it was good. It really was. I was shocked. But she was, Miss Lillian was something.
She was, she married at an older age, right?
Yes, she did. Randall Rue.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bunch of girls come down that night. He left home, I'll tell you.
How did you meet your husband?
My husband, well, I was coming out of church one night, and I was going with another boy. And the other boy wasn't there, but he was.
Oh.
And he said, come over here. He was parked across the street in front of Union. I looked at him, I'd never seen him before. I said, what? He said, well, your boyfriend's not here tonight, so I'll take you home. So I had another girl with me, Betty Lou Walker. You remember Betty Lou? She was with me. And bless her heart, I don't mean no harm, but her face looked like somebody slammed the door in it. It was pushed in, you know. God, Lord, don't tell nobody else this. Anyway, she tried getting the front seat with my husband, and he was pushing me in the front seat. But she got in the back.
Oh.
And
that's how it started.
That's how it started, and that was it. That was it.
Now, you didn't know him, but he lived on the island.
No, he did not.
Oh,
he lived in Atlantic, down at Wisher's Point.
But somehow he'd already had his eye on you.
Somehow he already heard that the other one wasn't going to be there. He was supposed to be the other one's good friend. I don't think that was very good friends.
How old were you when you got married? I know people got married young.
I was married in December 9th of 1949, and I would have been 17 in April. So, a little over 16.
Yeah. And did you live here always?
No, we lived on Piney Island with my mom and dad at that time. And then we moved to Wisher's Point, where his father had a farm because he was working for Doyle and Russell down at Wallops Beach, and he worked nights until later on, and then we come here.
So
my grandmother and grandfather had this rented out. So the renters moved out and we moved in.
And you added a lot.
We added all the back in 1959.
Yeah. And what did he do for a living, Peggy? Was he...
my husband?
Yeah.
He was a crane operator for Doyle and Russell. And then he quit that and he went to work for Wild Maddox. And then he quit Wild Maddox and he went to work for William C. Bunning Oyster Company. And then when he left there, him and George, he worked for George Hall at there where Church Street Supply is now.
Yes, I met George Hall.
He worked for George. And then in 62, after the March storm, we bought the property up the street where Joe Sue's shop is and where my big garage is, and we bought that from Harv and Francis Beebe for $3,000, including the marshland. That was after the storm. And then I sold the front to Eddie Tull a few years later for $3,000. So that made that side clear. All we had was clearing the trees and doing all that. And then we built that garage, and we opened that in in 62, later in the year. He was a mechanic.
Oh. Many talents, your husband. Sounds
Well,
like he could do a lot
he
of
was
different things.
doing mechanical work everywhere he went.
Yeah.
When we first got married, he worked for Norman Winder in Tempersville. He was one of the best as far as mechanics, because my son-in-law, he's a mechanic now. He worked for us too. And he said that my husband taught him everything he knows.
Oh.
His father's a mechanic too.
And how many children did you have?
5 girls.
5 girls.
Yes, ma'am. 5 girls. And when Bill was sick in the hospital, this the last time he had to go, Joe Sue asked him, she said, "Dad, aren't you glad you had 5 girls?" He said, "Yes, I am." But I didn't want girls, I wanted boys.
Oh. Well, you don't get any choice.
You don't have no choice. No, Right now, Anna. But they've been good kids, every one of them.
Did you ever? Did you have jobs outside of the home?
Yeah.
What are some things you've done? Peggy?
Well, I worked at the Bernstein shirt factory.
Oh.
And then
Where the bowling alley is now?
Huh?
Is that where the bowling alley is now? Yes. Okay.
And then I vaccinated chickens.
Oh my gosh.
Tough job.
Can you explain how you vaccinate a chicken?
Yeah. You don't want to hear one part of it, but I'll tell you.
I do. I want to hear it.
You'd vaccinate them for airsac, and you'd have a handful, and you had a needle with a syringe, and you had medicine in it, and you put it in their leg. But when you done tracheitis, you had to open the back end of him and scrape it with medicine. I told you didn't want to hear it.
And how many could you do in an hour, or
Well, we'd have a day to do a whole chicken house, but some of the thousand. But I wasn't the only one. It was Gary Bill Daisy and Betty Ray and Sweet Fidget and me, and it would be 2 or 3 more.
Where was this chicken house?
On the mainland.
Oh, you
They were on the
there.
mainland.
Did you ever work in any of the chicken houses here?
No.
No, that you were too young. I think they were.
Well, no, because
no,
they never got rid of them till after the 62 storm.
That's right. So, but I guess it was just more steady work to go over to the mainland, or
Yeah, well, see, we worked for a company.
right.
And, of course, the one that was in charge of the crew, he'd pick everybody up and take us
I see.
to Pocomoke. We worked for, can't even think his name now. But he lived in Pocomoke, and we'd go to his place to pick up all the medicine and all that stuff and go on.
That sounds like hard work.
It's hard work.
How
It's
long
a
did you
man's
do
work.
that? Yeah. How long did you do that?
Quite a while. Quite a while. And then when we opened that garage in 62, then I started working up there, running, getting parts, and keeping the books and keeping all that stuff.
I forgot to ask you what you did at the shirt factory.
Press shirts
Oh,
for McGregor. That's the name of the company. It was McGregor.
right. I remember that name, that company. What did they do at the shirt factory? I've never been to.
They made the shirts.
They actually made
They
the
cut
shirts.
the material and made the shirts. Freddie Thornton cut the material. And they made the shirts. They had trimmers that trimmed all the ravelings off, and then they went to us, the pressers. And Peggy Carpenter, she worked there with me at pressing. Margie Bugash. Oh, it's a bunch of us.
Was that fun? Could you talk? Could you
Yeah,
chit
you could
chat?
talk, but he wasn't there.
When he wasn't there,
Right.
Yeah. So how many people were employed there, would you say?
Oh, at one time, I would say it was at least 35 or 40.
That reminds me of the bakery that's over off Ridge Road. Did you ever going there? Do you have any memory of that bakery? I don't know when that dates from.
Where?
Off of, or was it off of Willow? Off of Willow. There's still the remains of it. The Joshua's Junction hair.
Oh, yeah, the Hook Bakery.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any
Yeah.
memory of that?
Yeah, that was when I was worked shirt factory. Sure did. Richard Hook was their son. Ann Hill, Jack Hill's wife, was her daughter.
Did that employ many people, or was that just?
Yeah, that was more or less family.
Yeah. I bet the air smelled good around there.
Oh, it smelled wonderful.
Peggy, we were talking about the shirt factory and the bakery. What other? Did you happen to know someone named Tuck Tall?
Take your time. Yeah.
Worked at the shirt factory. What?
Not when I was there.
Oh, okay. Maybe later. What other businesses do you remember? Did you go downtown? You lived over here, so did you go downtown a lot?
We weren't allowed to go nowhere. Archie Andrews had restaurant there where what's their name? Right up next to Bill's, as you turn down Cleveland. He had a restaurant there. Well, honey, you weren't allowed to go there. Forget it. You weren't allowed to go to the Legion. Every time you go to town by yourself or with another girl, Mom would say, you better behave yourself because I got people watching you.
Did she?
I don't know if she did or not, but I was scared. So I tried to behave myself. Sometimes it wasn't always easy.
What was distracting downtown? What was fun to do?
Well, we liked to go to Archie's because, a bunch of the kids hung out there.
What was Archie's?
It's just a restaurant.
Oh, okay,
It's a restaurant. No alcohol, nothing like that.
Was the island dry in terms of alcohol in your memory?
Pretty well. Oh, you could get alcohol, but it wasn't like it is today. No. Because there's some stuff that I don't understand. But
What are some of the good things and the not so good things about how you see Chincoteague at this point in your life? What comes
at this point, what I see, and it probably won't sound very good, but what I see is it's been commercialized too much. Too much. I mean, you got a lot of people. In fact, I know of one, but I don't know the person's name, but I know some people that is working close to them. And they come here and they think, oh, it's quaint, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But they're not here 6 months to a year before they want to change everything, make it like it where they left. I don't go with that. These people over here, I don't even know their name. This one over here, I think her last name's Groff, but I'm not sure. The one behind me is a tourist. And it's commercialized, and they can take this for what it's worth, but I'm very much against that water park. Very much against it.
Tell me why.
Because what I see is he had in the paper how much he likes Chincoteague. The only thing I figure he likes about Chincoteague is the big bucks.
Does it bother you that it's going to bring more traffic in, or that it's just going to look ugly?
The streets are not wide enough for what we have. They're not. They weren't made for that. When I was growing up, well, and when I was married, this street out here was dirt. Ridge Road was a dirt road.
Yeah.
And the streets are not wide enough. And to me, from what I've gathered, the meeting is Monday night, I guess, on that water park, but it's just not. I'll have to tell them, like I told the man in charge over to Fish and Wildlife, they had a packed house one night about wanting to close that end of the beach, and all that. Hines, was that his name? Lou Hines. And him and the lady from the Park Service were there. And Jack Tar was passing the mic around, so I grabbed it. And I told him, I said, let me tell you something, Mr. Hines. If it hadn't been for families like mine, you wouldn't have that beach. I said, but you stoked it and give them nothing. So he said, people like me hold a grudge. And I thought, no, I don't hold a grudge. But I want people to know what eminent domain is.
Mm-hmm.
They take it.
Mm-hmm.
They could come in here today and take this house. And it's true.
What are some good things that you've seen in your life here? Well, it changes.
The changes,
So
I don't see
good
too much
changes.
good.
No.
No.
Uh-huh. So you were saying before you made the example that you don't really even know the people that live.
No.
And so it's not the sense of the neighborhood.
Now, when one winter, this lady over here, I think her last name's Groff, she lives in Alexandria, Arlington, somewhere up that way. These people, they're from Maryland, but they come down and go on back to their own business. But anyway, we saw water, or Bill did, running all underneath our house one winter. And he called the town.
Mm-hmm.
And the town come cut it off. But it happened, she had paid somebody to winterize it, and they hadn't done it, and pipes bursted. So when I come home one day, it's about 6 months later, I guess, I seen this bunch of flowers sitting on the back deck. No nothing, no card, no nothing. I never did know who they come from. Until later on down the road, she asked me, did I find them?
Yeah.
This is like a year later. Did you ever find the flowers I left on your deck for y'all cutting, having my water cut off? I said, yeah, I found them. But the most, you got a lot of people that are really friendly, and you got some that, they're just not typical Chincoteaguers.
What are some characteristics of typical Chincoteaguers, would you say?
Well, I guarantee you, if you're from Chincoteague, they know you've been to see you. I don't care where you're at, they know you.
Seriously? How?
Well, they recognize you, I guess. They know you're from Chincoteague. They've seen you before. You can go to a store anymore. Who do you see you know? Very few. And when I was growing up, there was a grocery store on every corner. You got one. You had one on Pension Street, one on East Side, one on South Main Street, one up the Depot. Everywhere.
I live in the house that was the store on Depot. That's my house now.
Oh, okay. Dickerson's.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you were growing up, which neighborhood store did you go to?
Tars.
Tars.
Straight Main Street.
Right. Which building is that now? The bright yellow one?
It's back to fall down, it looks like.
Was it a kayak business?
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. So that was the store.
That was grocery store.
So
you went there and got your groceries and charged them and went to Friday or Saturday and paid it.
That's nice. On payday.
Payday.
Yeah. What are some other characteristics of Teagers, Peggy?
Teagers, well, they're just different. They really are. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, forget it. That's one characteristic of them. That's the way they are.
So,
of course, there's a lot of people, I guess, like that. They ain't got to be a Teager.
True. Would you say, is that a kind of is it a stubbornness or a judgment about whether you're a good person or not?
No, I don't think it's no judgment. No. No. But don't cross one. You can take a Chincoteague and lead it anywhere, but don't back it in a corner. I'm telling you, they're coming out fighting.
That's interesting. Yeah. How about grandchildren? Do you have any grandchildren?
I have got 7 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren.
How wonderful.
You think so?
I would just love to have one. Are they in the area?
I got one in Texas, one granddaughter in Texas and great-grandson with her. And the rest of them are close by. Tammy's got 2 boys. One of them works over at Wallops. The other one is in his junior year at school. I got one lives up in my trailer park, and she's got 2 children. And I got one that lives in Atlantic, and he's got 3 children.
My goodness.
And I got one that lives up in Mardella, and she's got a daughter. She's got a daughter and a son. So they're spread out, but most of them are right here.
I bet you have big Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I used to have them all here at Christmas, and it would end up being 25 or 30. And then everybody wants to get in the kitchen. Well, I don't want nobody in there.
Oh.
Most especially when I'm doing most of the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So it got to the point where I just couldn't do it. I couldn't stand and with my back and all do it. So
Sure.
Amy took it over. But I still do turnip greens. Turnip greens and a lot of the food, the pies and dressing and all that stuff.
What's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish? Well, I could say turnip greens, I can't have them. Too much blood thinner. They got too much vitamin K in them.
Interesting. Do you like chicken and dumplings?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny for people like me who come here. It's a different idea of chicken and dumplings.
Right.
It's
it
noodles.
Is.
Yeah.
Right. I know. I've had people tell me that.
Right. Yeah.
But with me, when we used to have Christmas dinner here, I cooked the turkey. I made all the dumplings. There wasn't ands. Well, no such thing as ands. I made all the dumplings, done the dressing, done the turnip greens, done the cranberry relish. And they would come in Friday oysters, 2 electric frying pans, and we just it's too much food. I'd make all the chicken salad, all the crab imperial, and it got to be too much.
Yeah.
Last 2 years I've not made crab imperial.
Do you like fish and shellfish though? Do you? I know some tigers who don't like it.
Like what?
Don't like fish or shellfish.
Oh yeah, no. My trouble with shellfish now, I'm limited on that too because I get the gate from it. I got 3 pounds of crab meat in my freezer, and I'm scared to cook it and eat it because my daughter picks it. She picks it for a living, you know, or it's supplement her income.
That's quite a job.
It is, and she works at Tyson's. And she has to be in Tyson's at 3 o'clock in the morning because she's an inspector for Tyson's. So she has to be there for that, and then she gets off at 2 or 2:30. She comes home, and then in the summertime she's picking crab meat until she gets ready to go in, get her shower, go to bed, get up 3 o'clock, get her meat.
Wow.
1:30, 2 o'clock, get her back to work. Makes wedding cakes, makes birthday cakes, makes pies. There's all them Tysons too, but
That's an impressive work ethic.
she's a workaholic. She's like her father, she's too much. I told her she's got to slow up. She'll be 65 come August.
That's hard to believe that you have a daughter who's 65.
Well, I got 166.
Well, that's even harder to believe.
No, honey, it's not hard to believe.
What's your heritage of your, do you come from Scots, Irish, basically English?
I would say more or less from England, from over that way.
I would say mini tigers, that is.
Now, my grandmother, Merritt, she looked like an Indian. She really did. She had the skin type and the hair, and I had more gray hair when she died than she had herself.
Interesting.
Dark hair.
You can remember her pretty well?
Oh, yeah. She had died till late 60s.
Weren't you lucky to have known her so long?
She had Alzheimer's too. And if you give her a fork and a knife to eat with, she'd throw it at you.
Oh.
She had bad temper, but hers. Some people are not, bad tempered, but she was. She told my grandfather one day, she said, "Grover, pick up that rug and let's go home." She was still living back in the woods with her mother up here. And he said, "Yeah, we're already home." She said, "Pick up that rug, let's go home." He said, "Well, you just got that television, don't you want to carry that too?" She said, "Yeah, pick that up too, let's go." But she was a mess when she had it. She always wanted to go home. Which they do. They tell me, most of them, they don't think they're home, they want to go home.
Anything else that you would like to say about your life growing up here in Chincoteague, or anything we missed that you think?
I don't think you missed too much. We didn't. We used to go to the beach on Assateague on the Monitor with the Sunday school church, well, the church,
Oh,
whole church,
Well, tell me about that.
and had picnics. They done it once a year.
Where did you leave from?
We leave from over here, down here, right, Harry, in front of Harry Tower store down on that dock.
Oh, okay.
Get on the Monitor and go over and have big picnics. And now you're not even allowed to get out of your boat and walk. Just put a foot up on the beach.
Mm-hmm. Can you remember what that looked like when it was more clear over there, where there were not as many trees, or does it look more or less?
No, it don't look like it's too many less.
It looks more or less.
But we used to go to the Coast Guard station, see, and that's where we'd get out of the boat and we'd go up on the beach and have a picnic.
Yeah.
But
just once a year with
once
Sunday
a year
school.
was it. Union Baptist.
Did you go over there with your family as a child, just for fun in a boat? Go over there and
No,
no,
not much.
We were talking earlier about a lot of the interviews that have been done over the past 20 years with Chincoteaguers. Nobody asked about Assateague. Most people didn't. It didn't come up, and the interviewers didn't ask them.
Yeah.
But even though so many people here, of course, have ancestors who were there.
Yeah. Well.
So we're catching up.
Yeah, I don't know what these papers. I don't know if y'all can see them or not.
Let me see.
They dated ain't so bad. I don't even know what's on them. I had it where the price of that land was, but I don't know what I've done with them. I'll put them in a drawer somewhere, I'm sure. I don't know what they are. Can you see it?